Hey everybody, how's it going? It's Taylor once again, and welcome back to Comic Crash, my little show on the internet where I talk about comic books and, stuff. And today the stuff we're talking about, the new Suicide Squad video game trailer was released recently, and the ending of the trailer was really both expected and unsurprising, but gives me a great opportunity to talk about something I've been wanting to talk about for a long time. Friends, evil Superman is terrible. And I'm not just talking about that from a character standpoint. And today I hope to prove that not only is evil Superman lazy writing that hurts all of the characters that are a part of that story, but that it's also socially unhealthy for Superman to be portrayed that way. I know, it's a big claim, but let's go ahead and dive into it. I know stuff, and of the stuff I know, Superman stuff is stuff I know a lot of stuff about. I have a huge collection of Superman comics, much bigger than any other character or book, and I've been a part of Superman collectors groups and Superman homepage groups for a long time now. And one trend I keep seeing that drives me nuts is that Superman has to keep being portrayed in only one of three ways, it seems, outside of comics. He's either an origin story, or he's dying, or he's evil and antagonistic. And it seems that every piece of serious media outside of comics has to make Superman an obstacle to the other heroes in some way. The thing that spurs this conversation is the Suicide Squad game trailer. But in the world of video games, Superman's only appearances in the last decade are in LEGO games and Injustice. He's the main villain in both Injustice games with only a minor good guy appearance at the end of the first one. And in the LEGO games, he's hardly ever the focus. He was the end boss in LEGO Batman 3, and, none of the good guys were the focus of DC supervillains. And then if we discuss movies, Superman spent a good amount of his very, very limited screen time in Batman v Superman as an evil dictator, and 25% of his time antagonistic in the Justice League theatrical. And while I'm making this before the Snyder Cut of Justice League is released, I'm not convinced, based on the trailers, that there's much less bad guy Superman in it. If anything, that fight is probably just going to be longer. Now, anyone who watches DC's animated offerings know that they're pretty decent for the most part, and definitely where you should go if you want to watch a good DC movie. But in Superman's most recent appearances in the last 2 years, from 2018 to 2020, he had The Death and Return of Superman, Justice League vs. The Fatal Five, Batman Hush, Superman Red Sun, Justice League Dark, Apocalypse War, and Superman Man of Tomorrow. Now, most of these are pretty good. The animated Death and Return was probably the most emotional version of that story I've experienced. But if we take a step back, we had a couple of evil Supermen in Death and Return. Superman was antagonistic in Batman Hush, and Superman Red Sun is all about him being a communist dictator, and Man of Tomorrow is an origin story. It seems like if Superman isn't crashing on Earth or dying, he's evil. So whenever they do show off evil Superman, like they did in the Suicide Squad trailer, it's not shocking anymore. What if Superman is a bad guy is a question that's asked so often and happens so frequently that it started to become my default expectation outside of comic book media. As a Superman fan who finds a lot of inspiration in relation to the character proper, this feels like almost a slap in the face. It's like, hey, you're a Superman fan, maybe you'll like this game. Superman's in it. Yeah, but he's the bad guy, but he's in it. But I'll expand on that point a little later. First, at the beginning of the video, I mentioned that evil Superman is a lazy way to write, and it brings down all of the characters around him in that story, and I stand by that, and here's why. Spectacle creep is a phrase that was coined by the YouTube channel Extra Credits, and they used it to describe what happens when a sequel gets higher stakes than the first at the detriment to characterization. Consider Star Wars, the new trilogy. In the original trilogy, Luke blew up a Death Star, but the Empire had a bigger Death Star, and in Episode 6 he blew that up. Episode 7 had an even bigger Death Star. It's not the size of a moon, it's a whole planet. And in Episode 9, had a whole armada of ships that had Death Star capable weaponry on them. All the while, they kept making the stakes bigger and bigger to the detriment of Rey's character development, Finn and Rose's potential, and the legacy character's legacy. When you make a character, the protagonist must go through something hard or challenging in order to grow, develop, and affect the world. When it comes to superheroes, that can be tough, particularly long-lasting characters. It wouldn't make sense if in one issue, superhero person was able to lift a truck over their head, but the next day aren't able to do so. So now forever, superhero person's strengths are set to at least this. But then the next challenge comes, and it has to make superhero person able to lift a boat. Then next it's an airplane, and then it's a planet, and so on and so forth. So it becomes a challenge to find an obstacle that will be hard for the character to overcome, but not too far out of their abilities to make things impossible in the future. But what happens when the obstacle you jump to is evil Superman, all of a sudden? All of a sudden, nothing seems to be a threat anymore. Yeah, Batman could take on the Joker. He beat Superman once in a fist fight. The Justice League should have no problem with Darkseid. They beat Bloodlust Superman. The Suicide Squad could blow up the whole planet if they wanted to. They beat Superman that one time. You see what the problem is? Beating Superman instantly pushes the spectacle creep to cosmic levels. It puts any character into Superman's world of world-conquering aliens, evil scientists, and rampaging monsters who could blow up entire cities by themselves. In the short term, it may make an interesting puzzle for the main hero character, but where do you go after that? I mean, I know Superman isn't the end-all to challenge. That obviously isn't the case because Superman has his own stories, and they're decent, and they're really good. But once Harley Quinn goes on to beat Superman in a fair fight, she then becomes part of a cosmic community, and you can't realistically return back to the streets of Gotham City and expect much of a physical challenge anymore. This is especially bothersome when the challenge has nothing to do with the character's arc in the story. Why does Batman fight Superman in Hush? Just because we need a big gatekeeper boss and it would look cool on the cover. It doesn't say anything about Batman's inner struggle in that story. Just, he gets to fight Superman. But probably worse than the ramifications it has for the characters in question, making Superman evil, I believe, has negative connotations socially speaking. When I taught my comic book class, we would talk about heroes' journeys, but specifically the two types of heroes. I'd like to compare it to Christmas movies. The first kind of hero that you have is Ebenezer Scrooge, or what is more officially called the dynamic hero. These are characters who have some kind of internal flaw that they have to overcome through their own struggle, and circumstances outside of them force them to change. Scrooge is selfish. He learns his lesson and becomes a selfless servant of the people. Spider-Man is prideful of his newfound powers, and he cashes in, but tragedy pushes him to become more responsible. Woody is jealous of Buzz, taking his position as top toy, but circumstances require him to work with Buzz, and so he learns to accept the strengths others have. The other kind of character we have is the George Bailey, or the aspirational hero. These are the ones that don't really have, an obvious vice, but are constantly tempted by the world to give in to the world. George Bailey, in the movie It's a Wonderful Life, holds the town of Bedford Falls together, but is constantly tempted with offers of money and opportunities to travel the world. Buzz Lightyear learned that loyalty to his friends and his kid are important, and he never deviates from Toy Story 2 through 4. Luke Skywalker could give in to his hatred. He's constantly tempted to give in to the dark side, but he sticks to his guns and chooses to be a Jedi and to believe in the good in the world. Both of these hero types are relatable because at any point in a person's life or situation, you are one of these two kinds of heroes. Dynamic heroes are easy to understand and write because there's a formula. I mean, not easy to write. Writing is actually really hard, but easier to write because there's a very strict formula and we see it all the time. You start sinner, you end holy. It's a direct line. But aspirational heroes become interesting when more and more challenges to walk away present themselves. That's how the best Superman stories are written. Superman holds onto a standard he knows is right, but has to prove it with either actions or even sometimes his inaction. That's what Action Comics 775 was about. That's Batman, Superman, Public Enemies. That's Superman, Brainiac, Last Son of Krypton, Godfall. All the best Superman stories are built off that principle of being a standard that will not fall. And call me sentimental, but it's important to have that kind of hero front and center. A popular hero that chooses not to let outside circumstances bring them down rather than be forced to change because of their circumstances. And in a day where truth changes depending on who you ask and justice doesn't seem to work equally, it seems like a sad loss when we take a character who stands for right and gives a standard of how to treat others and bring them down to a lesser level, either in the efforts to make them more relatable, which, again, we've established that's not the case, or to just turn them into a challenge for another character, more of a dynamic type character, to have a challenge to overcome. And then there's one less character that kids and adults can look up to as an example of human potential. I've heard it said that the problem with Luke Skywalker and The Last Jedi is that what used to be a hero that believed in the potential good of even the most vile of people was brought down to a level where they were despicable and impatient with anyone. I won't kill my father because there's good in him, but I'll kill my moody nephew. The reputation of the character is forever tarnished, and in times of need, when you recall the lessons of your favorite stories, there's always that thought in the back of your head that says, yeah, Superman would treat people like this, but also there was this one time where he didn't. I think that's also a reason why religion is so important and why people should be involved in it, but that's a topic for someplace else. It's a matter of having a standard to measure your own progress in situations against. And that's why I hate evil Superman. It's insulting to fans who idolize Superman and want to see a good Superman story. It's lazy from a writing standpoint because it tears down the characters around him, and it's detrimental to what Superman means socially. Now, I don't think it's too far gone, and another Superman movie could do wonders. There's also the Superman and Lois series that could do a lot if they work it right. We're still going to have to see about that. I'm quite frankly still unsure about how that series is going to go. But in the meantime, the comics are really good right now, so that is something. This is a big topic, and I get that, and I get that it kind of delves into places a little bit more heavy than what we usually do. And I'd love to hear what you, my friends, have to say about it. So please leave your thoughts in the comments below, keep it civil, and until next time, thank you for joining me, have a great day, and remember to always be your best self.